They're still in the room.
This is Jody Meyer, Chair of the Lawrence Historic Resources Commission. It is now 6 p.m. on Thursday, May 18th, so I'll go ahead and call to order our May 18th meeting. You want to give the preliminary information?
Yes, thank you. And good evening and welcome to the May 18th Historic Resources Commission meeting. My name is Avery Kerner, and with me is Lam Braddock-Zollner, the Historic Resources Administrator. Together, we will work alongside the chair to facilitate the meeting proceedings. Before we begin, I have just a few reminders to share. Tonight's meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the city's YouTube channel and cable channel 25. For those who are attending the meeting virtually, please remember to mute yourself when you are not actively speaking to help minimize distractions. When the chair calls for public comment on an item, anyone attending in person may approach the podium to speak. If you are attending the meeting virtually and would like to provide public comment on an item, please use the raise your hand feature to be called upon. We also ask that everyone state their name before they speak to ensure that everyone is able to follow along. And with that, I'll turn the meeting back over to the chair.
Thank you. This is Jody Meyer, Chair again. We will go ahead and take a roll call vote this evening, which is a little bit more awkward since there's most of us in person, but Commissioner Haynes.
Present.
Commissioner Johnson.
Commissioner Johnson, present.
Commissioner Ezell.
Here.
Commissioner Klein.
Here.
Commissioner Hawley.
Present.
Commissioner Coleman.
Here.
All right, we have a full house this evening. We will then move on to the first item on our agenda, our general business portion, which is accepting nominations and electing a new chair and vice chair.
I would like to move, if she'd accept, to nominate Commissioner Coleman for chair. She's highly qualified and would be excellent in the role.
I second that. So there's been a motion and a second for Ms. Coleman to be the chair. So we'll take a roll call vote on that. Commissioner Haynes,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Aye.
Commissioner Coleman. You can
Aye.
vote on yourself. Are you abstaining?
Sure, I'll abstain.
Commissioner Hawley
Aye.
and Commissioner Myers and I, so that carries 6-0. But we are also in search of a vice chair, who I don't know who the vice chair was this last year,
It
but,
was Kelly Irby.
oh, okay. All right.
I would like to nominate Jay Hawley to be the vice chair. He is very qualified, and I think he will do a fine job.
Well, I second that. So there's been a motion and a second. So we'll take another roll call vote. Commissioner Haynes,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Aye.
Commissioner Coleman,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawley.
Abstain.
Okay, Commissioner Meyer is an aye, so that carries 6-0 with one abstaining. Fabulous. We will then move on to the next item on the agenda, which is communications. Have there been communications from other commissions, the State Historic Preservation Officer, and/or the general public?
We have no communications this evening, and at this time, you can transfer the chair position to the new chair for the remainder of the meeting.
This is the old Chair Meyer. I think I suggested that earlier, and someone wanted it deferred, but I'm happy about that.
All right. Chair Coleman here.
Excellent.
So where were we? Were there any communications to report?
There were no communications for this meeting.
All right, thank you. Do any commissioners have ex parte communications to divulge?
No.
Or abstentions for specific agenda items?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Any committee reports?
We have no committee reports this evening.
Wonderful. We'll move on to item C, consent agenda.
Commissioner Klein would move approval to confirm all of the administrative design review applications in the attachment.
Do I hear a second?
Second, Commissioner Hawley.
Very nice. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Izell,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Haynes,
Aye.
Commissioner Klein,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawley.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now it is time to take public comment. If there is any on items that are not public hearing items.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dennis Brown, Lawrence Preservation Alliance. A week from tonight, next Thursday from 7 to 9 at the Cider Gallery, the Lawrence Preservation Alliance will be holding our biannual Preservation Achievement Awards event. Due to the pandemic, it's been 4 years since we've had this event. We are going to honor Tom Harper, Mike Goins, and the Searching for La Yarda film project. And we're pretty excited about all those three. We love being at the Cider Gallery. It's a great venue for us. Cody and Simon Bates and Jennifer Burkhead always treat us so well, and we feel so welcome. We have a caterer friend who puts out a couple tables of incredible appetizers that are beyond what we deserve. One of the speakers will be Dennis Domer. I've learned a long time ago, you never want to miss a chance to hear Dennis speak. We're very fortunate in Lawrence to have several opportunities a year. Full disclosure, a second speaker will be me, so you have to factor that in. But the third speaker, Sarah Bell, new director of the Kansas Museum of History. So the speakers are a net plus. You don't have to be a member. Come on down if you're just interested in preservation. For more information, you can go to lawrencepreservation.org and get plenty of information on the event and the award winners, and a link to the ticketing site. And we hope to have as many people as we can come by to help us congratulate all the great work that our winners have done over time. I'd like to hand these out if I may.
And I can take the rest and pass them on if you'd like.
Okay. There's a QR code on there. We're
Thank you.
getting really up to date.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
It doesn't look like we have anybody virtually either.
Okay. Moving on to item E, public hearing items.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. This is item DR-23-00131. It's for 256 North Michigan Street. It is an application for demolition. It is a certificate of appropriateness review. The property is located in the environs of the Judge Nelson T. Stevens House, located at 320-340 North Michigan Street. This shows the project location here in the blue-green outline, and this is the Stevens property. And right back here is where the actual Judge Nelson T. Stevens house is. This is the Judge Nelson T. Stevens house. This is one of the buildings to be proposed for demolition. It's the main structure on the site. A close-up view of that south elevation. Here an example of the modular structures to be demolished on the site. And here in your staff report, it talked about the tree line along the north property line, and this is a photograph showing that tree line. This is a demolition request, and the commission is only reviewing the demolition of the structures on the site. There's no building permit required for the installation of the new pallet shelters, and because there's no building permit required, the commission does not review the new temporary structures. Typically, the commission requests information on the new construction for a site where demolition is proposed. The information that was included in your staff report is being provided to the commission to provide context of the temporary use and the temporary structures that are proposed for the site. This is an example of a site plan that would be the proposed layout. This is not the final site plan. This is to give an idea of where the shelters will be located. The individual shelters are the orange structures, and then in the blue you have the restroom structures, and then in the center here you have the community structures. This is an example of the 64 square foot pallet shelter that will be used in the project. Staff is recommending that in accordance with Chapter 22 of the City of Lawrence, the standards of evaluation, that you find that the proposed demolition will not significantly encroach on, damage, or destroy the landmark or its environs, and issue the certificate of appropriateness for the proposed project. And I'd be happy to stand for any questions you may have.
Commissioner Meyer?
Thank you. Is the reason why there's no building permit needed because of city decisions that were made?
It's twofold. One is that the shelters are temporary in nature, and so they don't require a building permit, and the city did also make some decisions to exempt the new construction from building permits.
And other zoning?
And other zoning restriction, yes.
Right. Okay.
Because they're temporary?
Yes, because they're temporary.
Well, they're still going to need electrical power and.
They will have electrical power. To each unit has its own heating and cooling unit.
But they don't have to comply with any of that, right?
Correct. They do not
Yes.
have to apply for any of those permits.
But we are commenting on the demolition of the current buildings.
Correct. Just the demolition of the current structures.
Very unusual.
Just out of curiosity, I was curious to know if anyone is currently living in the old Judge Stevens home.
Yes, there is a relatively new owner, and they are undergoing restoration of the structure and using the rehabilitation tax credits.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Is it time for public comment then? Or no?
Yes, because the
Oh.
applicant's not.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, is Danny online?
Danny is, yes.
Okay, then the applicant is here.
Does the applicant have any statements to make?
I do not. I'm just here in case there's any additional questions.
Thank you. Now we'll hear public comment, if there is any. Hearing none. We have a motion?
Well, this is Commissioner Johnson. I move for approval of the Certificate of Appropriateness in accordance with Chapter 22 of the Code of the City of Lawrence, the standards of evaluation of that the proposed demolition will not significantly, and that just went off my screen. So the rest of what that said. Encroach on, damage, or destroy the landmarks or its environs and issue the Certificate of Appropriateness for the proposed project.
Commissioner Klein will second that motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Ezell?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
I am an aye with the notation that this is just in regard to demolition and not a commentary on my opinion on the feasibility of the project.
Thank you. Commissioner Haynes?
Aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawley?
Aye, but I would like to also go on record of notating Commissioner Meyer's notation.
And Chair Coleman, I'm an aye as well on the demolition, but I also have the same comments as Commissioners Meyer and Hawley on the construction of the temporary facility. Okay, moving on to.
So that,
Yes?
excuse me, Commissioner, Chair, sorry. And so that vote passes 7-0, is that correct?
Yes, the vote passes 7-0.
So the next item for your consideration is DR-23-00139. It's for 1036 Connecticut Street. It's the demolition and new construction of an addition. This is also a certificate of appropriateness review. The property is located in the environs of the Parnham House, which is located at 1028 Rhode Island Street. This is the property location here, shown in the blue-green color, and the Parnham House is over here on the left of your screen in the royal blue color. This is the primary structure, the front elevation. This is showing a view of the rear elevation and the addition that would be removed. And then a close-up of the rear elevation showing that addition that would be removed for the new construction. This is the site plan for the proposed structure. You'll see that it's removing the existing addition here, and then this is the outline of the new addition. And then this is the new detached garage that will have a separation from the primary structure. This is showing the north elevation of the structure, with this the addition and this the new proposed garage. And the south elevation of the structure, this is the new addition, and then the south elevation of the proposed garage. This is showing the east elevation of the structure, this is the new addition. And this is showing the east elevation of the proposed new garage. This is being reviewed under Standard 9 of Chapter 22 in the illustrative review criteria, also located in Section 506.1. You have information in your staff report regarding how it meets those criteria. Staff is recommending approval of the Certificate of Appropriateness because the project will not significantly encroach on, damage, or destroy the landmark or its environs. and recommends issuing the certificate of appropriateness. And I'd be happy to stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Hearing none, is the applicant present?
Yep. My name's Clint Curtis. I'm one of the owners. I don't have anything to show you guys. I'm just here in case you guys have questions. So.
Thank you.
Oh, in the report, it said that you didn't supply a color.
It'll just be the white to match the original color of the house.
Okay, that's what I assumed.
Yeah.
Great.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion or motions?
Public
I
comment?
need to call for public comment.
Oh, public comment. Excuse me. New. First time. Is there any public comment? Okay, hearing none. Discussion?
I'll just make one comment and say I like to do the history of these structures, and just wanted to say that a man by the name of William Nadelhofer and his family were residents, I think, of this home through about, I think, 1950. And he was a Civil War veteran, and his grandson also enlisted in World War I. So it's a military family. And Mrs. John's, the daughter was a member of the American War Mothers organization. So I just kind of look upon this as a patriotic home. So thank you for remodeling it.
Yes, I thought it was a nice proposal, and it'll be a very good addition in keeping with the home, and it'll be nice. Anyone else? I hear a motion.
I would move that in accordance with Chapter 22 of the Code of the City of Lawrence, standards of evaluation find that the proposed project will not significantly encroach upon, damage, or destroy the landmarks or their environs, and issue the certificate of appropriateness for the proposed project.
Seconded.
Thank you. Commissioner Meyer had a motion, and Commissioner Hawley had a second. Is there any discussion? No? So we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hizell?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Haynes?
Aye.
Commissioner Klein?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawley?
Aye. Looks like a great project.
Chair Coleman is an aye. Motion passes 7-0. So we have come to the end of our public hearing items. Are there any miscellaneous items?
Staff has no miscellaneous items this evening.
Then I move that we adjourn.
Not going to argue with that.
So moved.
Good job.
Like a world record.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. So you should have been chair a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously, the chair was the problem.
Easy.